think our talent in the past rosters have been really good, but we just kind of falter. I'm hoping, with a better infrastructure, we can break the curse.
We're starting to mesh really well, and everything's coming together.
It's about playing your own game and being comfortable.
Team morale has really improved, and I think everybody now is on the same page.
지금 멤버로는 당연히 만족을 하고 있고 저희 멤버로 아직 보여줄 수 있는 거를 아직 다 보여준 건 아니라고 생각하기 때문에 아직 I'm very exciting now.
The biggest thing that's been right for us is probably the addition of Helios. Our communication is just a lot smoother.
I'm now very confident for my team.
They're doing great. They're carrying me half the time.
We have a lot of improvements still to do, but it's a good foundation.
Being complacent is the worst thing that can happen to any team, and I just want to keep just not feeling like we're better than everybody else, and I think that's the mentality we need.
It's game day once again here in Los Angeles, and the fans have packed into the Battle Arena to cheer on our 10 teams as we approach the halfway point of the summer split. Now, the crowds are hyped up and excited for our 5 games today, and we're going to start those off with Gravity versus Team Impulse. As you see the excitement in the fans, there you're getting a look at Gravity a short time ago in their ready room. They'll be looking to stake their claim as a top team against these guys here. Executive producer Zhao Weizhao leading his troops to the stage and looking rather confident. Hello, everyone. I'm James Dash Patterson. Welcome to Week 5 of the North American LCS. Grouping up here on the analyst desk, we have Aiden Zyrene Moon, Sam, Kobe Hartman-Kanzler, and David Freak Turley. How are we doing today, gentlemen?
Great. Absolutely amazing.
Fabulous. Fantastic to hear. Well, we have to begin our day talking about Team Dignitas. Since the start of the split, people have been waiting to see if the team would turn back into a pumpkin, but they continue to win games and defy expectations.
And they've defied expectations to the point that this is the first week they're coming in not as the underdogs. They're expected to 2-0 with a little bit of an easier schedule against enemy Esports and TDK. Given their performances and their improvements lately for Dignitas, these are games they're expected to win.
It's true, and the thing is, as you go further into the split, they play the top teams again, and Dignitas actually have a pretty good record against these top teams. It's weird, right now in the North American LCS, it feels like there's just a top 5. There's just 5 really good teams, and they just kind of beat each other over and over again. So even if Dig has a 0-2 week where they lose to CLG and TSM down the line, that doesn't mean they're a bad team. There's just a lot of really good competition here. Their shot calling's strong, their individual skill is okay, and it makes them one of the better 5.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that one of the things that we haven't seen from Dignitas before is that the last 2 days, last week, they had really clear team compositions. And that's something that we haven't seen from Dignitas a lot before. Rika was a great addition, and they were also able to execute the game plan for those compositions as they saw before getting into the game.
And of course, another big story this week came from Team Solo Mid, who announced that they're shopping around for a new AD carry. So we have to wonder how that will weigh on Wild Turtle's mindset going into the games this weekend.
Yeah, first off, I want to talk about Wild Turtle's play in general, because in the spring split, to me, he was the number 2 AD carry in North America. I actually likened him to the legendary Chinese AD carry Uzi. He was a very aggressive player, but the risks almost always paid off. This split, and then that's happening. He's got 40% more deaths per game than spring split. He does 30% less of his team's damage than the previous split. He's actually the least damaging AD carry in the North American LCS right now. And TSM's winning games. AD carries have a free ride to dealing damage when your team wins games. And Wild Turtle right now, he's playing too risky. The risks aren't paying off. It's obviously showing in the statistics. His teammates obviously recognize it. I like the style, but it's clearly not working right now.
I want to see what this does for Wild Turtle's mentality, though. Is he one of the people who steps up under the pressure and tries to deliver, or is he the guy that it puts him in his own head and he's overthinking everything?
Yeah, we'll have to see. TSM are hoping to retake first place this weekend from their arch rival CLG, who ended last week in first place, the first time the organization has ended the week in sole possession of the top spot. Now, they do have their work cut out for them, though. First today with Team Liquid and TSM tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, CLG, they are the first place team right now in North America, but CLG, along with almost all of the other top teams in North America have been winning games with, fairly big bloopers while they win these games. There are individual mistakes like Smithy tunneling into the base, that could cost you. And I would have to say that for any North American team to remain at the top of the standings, there's no way you can say it's a very stable position because of these, uncharacteristic mistakes that will just pop out in, even games that they are successful in.
Well, let's take a moment to pull up those standings and take a look at the field. As we mentioned, CLG holds first place, followed one game back by Team Dignitas and TSM in second. Now sharing fourth is Gravity and Liquid with Team Impulse in sixth. Rounding out the standings, we have Enemy Esports in seventh, followed by Cloud9, Team8, and TDK. Then turning to today's schedule right now, Team Impulse is queuing up to face off against Gravity. Then Team Liquid will challenge Counter Logic Gaming, and we'll end the day with Team Dignitas as they look to extend their run when they take on Enemy Esports. Coming up tomorrow in our Game of the Week is the latest chapter in the rivalry between Team Solo Mid versus Counter Logic Gaming. Beyond first place implications, this matchup has tilted in TSM's favor 15-9, and CLG, well, they'd like to turn that around. Then, of course, we're going to direct you to Twitter, where we're flipping the script. Today, we're playing Ask Kobe. Hit up our resident guru with your questions about champion builds, love advice, engineering queries, or if you want to know how he prepares his finger-looking good briskets, you can ask him that, too.
All right, well, you want to make your own rub first, and your dry rub, and then you want to cook it really slow. Cook it slow and on a low temperature. But
all right. Well, of course, then if you're stumped with homework, maybe with a problem, say the Doppler effect, you can ask him that too.
Really? The Doppler effect? All right, well, the Doppler effect is essentially the change in frequency of a wave, like sound, that an observer is going to have, if the source is in motion relative to the observer, like a truck horn passing by you.
All right, there you have it. See, that was my homework question for the day. Send us your questions, and we'll be picking a few out for Kobe to answer later in the broadcast. Tweet us at LOL Esports and use the hashtag AskKobe. Let's send it out to our casters, though, to get the games underway.
Thank you very much, Dash. Hello, everyone. I am Rivington Bislin III, and sharing the caster desk with me after losing a bet, it's going to be Joshua Jet Leesman.
Not again, man. It just keeps happening.
Yep, we got 3 games to go, so hang in tight. The teams are about set on stage. Our first match today is going to be Team Impulse versus Team Gravity. And this is a rematch of our spring quarterfinals, which went Team Impulse's way 3-1, if you watched that. But that was spring, and right now Gravity look like the favorites.
Yeah, and TIP continue to be a very inconsistent team. We do keep waiting to see if they can recapture the strong team cohesion they had late in the spring split regular season. But once again last week, they were playing a little bit disjointed.
Yeah.
However, one takeaway from their win over Enemy was to kind of just let Xiao do what he wants. He picked Yasuo, even though he wasn't crushing in KDA. He had that huge impact on the game, applied a lot of map pressure with the split pushing, and ultimately led to a victory.
Just got to become Xiao again. Hasn't had a chance to do it. And Gravity are coming off a solid game as well, in which they came within spitting distance of taking down Team Solo Mid. But they were once again tripped up by a couple bad calls in the late game.
Such a close game that was. And Gravity, it's one of the stronger looking teams in North America, but there's still those slight holes in shot calling, especially in late game high pressure situations. I mean, just looking at their losses. Week 1 against Enemy, they had a bad Baron call that led to defeat. Last week against TSM, there was that 2-for-1 inhibitor trade they accidentally took, and then a lot of misplays after that when trying to make up for it. Had those 2 games gone differently, Gravity could very easily be 7-1 right now. So they've been performing quite well outside of those slip-ups.
Unfortunately for them, and fortunately for CLG fans, it's only CLG that sits atop at 7-1 right now. But Gravity, TIP both have a chance to say in that now. Altec as well talked about what Gravity is doing to improve their shot calling, and says the first step is being more proactive.
We are now halfway through the split, and I think as a team we really grew because me and Move were new additions to the team, so we're kind of getting set up and everything with the team. I think communication is really good on LAN. I think a lot of it we just have to be more decisive and be the ones being aggressive and not the ones sitting back and losing slowly.
Yeah, very true. Always got to be the ones making the first decision, which can sometimes be rather difficult against Team Impulse, but we'll have to see. It's a good first matchup.
Been hearing lately that hesitation is becoming an evil for a lot of teams.
I think it's always been an evil.
See if they can shake it off.
Hesitation's never a good idea.
Nope, never ever. We'll see if there's any hesitating coming into this one. Right now, we're going to check out the starting lineups. On the blue side, it's Team Impulse. That's Impact in the top lane, Rush in the jungle, Xiao in the mid, Apollo at AD carry, Adrian at support, and Coach Fly.
That's it for Impulse. On the red side, of course, it's Gravity. Haunter in the top lane, Move in the jungle. Keen, what's he going to play today in mid lane? Altec, who we just heard from on AD carry, and of course, Bunny Fufu trying to shot call on support.
That's right. Cop, the coach, as he takes a step back, and as Altec, I was going to call him Haunter, Altec was saying, that team, they should be pretty proud of what happened. Seeing the changes through other teams, there's been a lot of struggles. There wasn't much turmoil with the changes of Move and Altec coming into that team. They've only lost to CLG, TSM, and as we mentioned, the Mistake versus Enemy in the first week. Those are the high teams to beat right now.
It's quite remarkable when you consider that Gravity lost the veteran leadership of St. Vicious and replaced it with a non-native English speaker, yet are still having a better start to this split than they did the last one. It just kind of goes to show the growth of the other members on that team.
Yeah,
Cop's growth as a coach, Move's ability to adapt to a new environment, and obviously Altec, who has been contributing in a big way across various different dimensions within the team.
It really works on paper as well. Keen, an unknown factor. Bunny Fufu getting much better at shot calling. Everybody kind of has their own role that they're really getting a chance to kind of perfect. It's working out for them, especially the calls from Bunny Fufu. Really bringing Gravity to some victories. Impulse, however, to shake off what's been plaguing them. Hopefully they get the picks and bans they want here.
Yeah.
Focusing the jungle and bottom lane of Gravity.
No Sivir ban right now.
Right.
So
the facilitator for an Impulse composition.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. Impulse played Sivir in the first 5 games of the split, have not been able to get it in their last 3 games, have gone 1 and 2 in those games. It works very well for Apollo and Adrian's style of just trying to be a more supportive bottom lane and then just create opportunities for the aggressive solo laners. The fact that they banned Callista as well made it very telegraphed. I think they were either going for first pick Gragas or first pick Sivir, and I guess since we haven't really seen Move play much Gragas, they weren't comfortable trading for that anyway. Really just don't like the last ban of Gragas, but maybe that just speaks to Move's somewhat unconventional champ pool, although he does have a Gragas victory this split. So, Cop, I don't know what you're doing with that last ban, but we'll see how it turns out.
They feel like the disruption and the chaos that Impulse creates in fights sometimes favors them quite a bit, and they know how to control those back and forth ones, especially if you have a Sivir speeding everybody up to grab somebody that gets bumped out by a Gragas ultimate.
Yeah. Benefits here is the Gravity does get pick the litter for Hecarim and Thresh if they want to, since Alistar is off the table. Of course, Bunny Fufu's Thresh, rather effective most of the games that he has it. It's also very important to deny the Hecarim pick from the Sivir team, which they've been able to do there.
And 2 ways to make plays as well coming in for Gravity there. Haunter can get nice and big on that Hecarim. Keen still unknown. Do you even focus him with picks and bans? No, Impulse doesn't, because there's no point to do that.
I don't think you can focus Keen in picks and bans, especially when Gravity has the final pick. This is...
That's even more true.
Yeah, and something that Team Impulse did last week, which I really liked, when they did pick Yasuo for Xiao Xiao, the rest of the team composition worked around it very well. Nautilus support for extra displacements, they had Gragas jungle, they had AP damage in the top lane and Rumble. Everything kind of worked in the sense that a mid lane Yasuo would fit. And now with Nautilus and Maokai, again, a mid lane Yasuo actually fits as long as they get a bit of magic damage out of Rush's jungler.
Yep.
Maybe he plays Evelyn.
What kind of targets he can slice down here that Gravity comes to play. Evelyn, yeah, we actually haven't seen too much of that over in our region. Other ones, quite a bit.
Yeah.
A bit. Banned frequently, picked frequently in the LCK.
I'd almost expect Evelyn Yasuo for the last 2 picks for Impulse, but Rush's Lee Sin is also up with the jungle ban. So it's a very real possibility with an AP mid laner as well. But we're going to have to wait for what Gravity picks.
Well, Impulse already has that first prereq of their win condition.
Can't pick even more.
As we said, the Sivir.
Not if Move takes it.
Nope. Move is going to take that Evelyn. Something he's been very effective at is getting in the jungler's face in the early game. So now he has the chance to do that even more.
Yeah, multiple jungle bans as well. Move us down to the next layer of junglers. Move, interestingly enough, has yet to play Evelyn. He played Xin Zhao against TSM. He also had some good Jarvan jungle games. So a little bit surprising that he goes for the Eve. Maybe a slight denial pick there. But we're going to have to wait and see how their team comp comes together, especially on Impulse's side. Because Yasuo at least Sin kind of works. It just tunnels them into a lot of physical damage.
Kassadin works if Xiao can get going. We've seen that fall behind a few times, and the Nocturne gets locked in from Rush.
All right, Rush. I knew I liked this guy. I want to see what he ends up doing on this Nocturne. Whether he does...
We're on 5'11".
Yeah, Warrior, Devourer, or Cinder Hulk. Most likely Cinder Hulk, because that's what we'd seen competitive for the resilience, and he's going to be diving in with the Kassadin. It's specifically good against the Jinx, who is immobile, so if they put enough people on top of the Jinx, it won't matter how good Altec's mechanics are or anything.
You can Sivir ult as well with the rest of the team able to follow that Nocturne ultimate.
It'll take a while for Xiao Xiao to turn on. It'll also take a while for the Nocturne to hit level 6 to have good ganks. So whatever Keen decides to pick in the mid lane against Kassadin here, hopefully it's something that could shove the lane pretty well. Is he going to do Rumble? See, they could do Hecarim mid if they wanted to against Kassadin. That's actually an old throwback pick for Keen.
The swap.
He's done Rumble mid and Hecarim mid.
Happen once more. That could be Haunter's Rumble top. Yeah. They've swapped into it.
Oh, Keen.
It'll be 20 seconds on the clock for any swaps left. That's how the champion select works. They have to be locked in by that point. So we'll see what happens.
Must be nice for Cobb having a mid laner like that who plays so many top lane champions in the mid lane.
14 seconds.
What's he going to do? If he has Teleport Ignite and he hasn't switched his summoners, he's probably taking Hecarim mid.
Yeah.
This will be fun. We haven't seen his mid lane Hecarim in quite some time.
Double teleport. Definitely communication is going to be needed throughout this game. That is the lock-in. Keen is going to rock Hecarim mid against Xiao. Xiao's Kassadin, and Haunter takes the Rumble in the top lane. We get a nice one to start off week 5 here. The number 4 Gravity versus the number 6 Team Impulse. Flying Cop to shake hands one more time. And man, we're going to have a game on our hands here.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very interesting.
That's a really exciting pick and ban phase.
Like
the Eve being taken away by Gravity, then having Rush end up going with Nocturne, Kassadin synergy for dive buddies and quick assassinations.
Yep.
Not to mention the last second switch up when they do see the Kassadin to end up going with Hecarim. There was a lot of strategy in that pick.
It's going to be good. I'm sure everybody wants to talk about it. So weigh in throughout all of our games today with who you think will win for this first match. Send either hashtag TIPWin or hashtag GVWin to @LOL Esports. Excited to get into this one. Whatever Keen brings to the mid lane, whether the team wins, he still shows up with a few kills, so give you a show. So I'm excited to see what goes down.
Yeah. Well, can you get a kill on that Urgot game against TSM? I think it was 0-9. So most of the time, you can't really get a kill.
You got me on that.
Always gets a few assists at least.
There you go.
But most importantly, he gives you a good show.
Keen little banners there. I like them. Coming out. Impulse. See where they go with this one. Gravity seems like they're going to actually set up the line of scrimmage as well here. And we're not going to get too much movement out of anybody. Xiao has the damage lead.
So I specifically like this mid lane matchup, Hecarim pick. Mainly, so Kassadin has actually become a rather strong laner against most magic damage picks early because of the power of the shield and poke from the Kassadin Q. For instance, like against LeBlanc, how excited are these guys going to end up getting?
I don't know. Gravity's taking like a combined 500 damage now. They got to be careful.
Game's basically over. But really,
if he had a Sona, she'd be dead.
I do want to talk about the mid lane matchup just a little bit, because Kassadin, especially against something like LeBlanc, can actually be a safe laner since it's very hard to harass the Kassadin, especially with the flask start, since you can't break through the shield and you're going to run through almost all your mana pool to get there. But Hecarim can negate a lot of that. If he does trade, it's all physical damage, so the shield is useless for the Kassadin. Not to mention, it takes a very long time for Kassadin to do enough damage to actually poke Keen out of the lane, since Keen has innate sustain with his Spirit of Dread, which is the Hecarim W. So therefore, like, this is a very favorable lane, as far as favorable lanes can go for Hecarim mid.
Also saw them go back. Well, we've seen it quite a bit lately where the mid laners will grab one more potion. Keen opted for a mana potion. Xiao went for a bit of health. One more on that, so he can stay in lane and hopefully not get whacked in the face by Keen's guitar here.
More common right there.
Yeah.
We've also seen a lane swap develop right now. There have been a few games where Gravity have pulled off really clever level 1 movements with move to get ahead of the enemy jungler. This time, though, they're a little bit late on their rotation through, and it looks like everyone is just kind of missing each other. Look at the supports invading right after people have cleared, pinging where they think they could harass someone, but it's actually not there. So the junglers and top laners are doing their double jungle thing unhindered. Hey. Not quite.
Fufu going for a try. Not going to be able to deny too much. Xiao at the turret, able to pick up all 3 that have been targeted with aggro. And only missing 1 so far, but Keen's got him where he wants him. Now able to push this in. May have to draw some pressure in from the side of Impulse Jungle, which is exactly what he wants. Bot lane going down. Looks like they're just going to stick together. Not too much trouble for these guys as they double jungle it out.
Yeah, getting as many wards up as possible to try and preempt anyone who'll be rotating down. There's a couple options the teams have in lane swaps of this situation where you have the 4v0s. Either they 4v0, just take the turret, or the enemy team tries to get 3 people to the turret before the 4 arrive. That's what those wards were there for Gravity, so they were kind of predicting where people may have been, but both teams kind of opt into the same turret take. One team has Jinx, the other team has more people, but mainly the turrets are just going to be taken, and the mid lane's going to brawl.
Slowly taking this. It's how they break out after. We see teams actually do this, but that's where they feel comfortable going to. Then they stop. They don't really know where to go after.
Well, it's because they want to bounce the wave as well. So that's why everyone left. So the AD carry not only gets all of the local gold for themselves, you also get to set up a freeze if you so choose. What's interesting is Gravity decided not to go for a dragon. It's a little bit free if they would have wanted to do it, because they saw 4 people of Team Impulse top lane, so I think that's a missed opportunity. Instead, they're just going for the maximum amount of experience.
Maybe that's a little of that, well, this is what we know to do. After this, it could get risky. Maybe we don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, you're right, though. There were definitely 4 top lane in complete vision there for Impulse. Gravity, however, going back, decided to grab a heck of a lot of potions all throughout, and a pickaxe for all tech right now, pretty much matching what Apollo has in lane. Adrian will show up, he'll give over some Targon stacks, being a nice guy there, and a Bromant there for Impulse, but it actually may cost him his life. Bunny Fufu with the flash flay, but he gets the flash out of Adrian as well.
Yeah, he was trying to flay him mid-dredge line so the dredge line wouldn't pull towards. Respected play by Adrian, even though the flay didn't land, he still flashed away.
Haunter not wanting to get caught by the terror. He backs off. Might have gone down there, but has to blow his flash. So flash is going down all over the place as plays are trying to be made. Now to the top lane, Impact. He knows the Spidey senses were going off, but Bunny Fufu and Move were already there. Move, can he get into range? Does not seem like there will be enough damage to chase him down.
Yeah, but they were able to completely deny him off the turret. This has been a mirrored game for the most part. On the other side, Haunter is under the turret, hasn't been pushed off, but is in danger of a dive. That's a lot of people. It's a lot of people.
Sealing your fate right here. Who's going to take the turret aggro first? They're kind of waiting. They want the wave to be in the right spot. Turret aggro goes on Impact. He's in a bad spot, though. Actually going to be able to get out very nicely. Twisted advance to safe.
Really well done there. Used the Twisted Advance to try and drop the turret aggro. Was successful. Woof.
Good dodge by Xiao. Bunny Fufu coming up short on just these hooks.
Yeah, if they chase any further, then Impulse gets them back. So Impulse gets the first dive. I feel like Gravity's misplayed this lane swap a little bit. Gravity had the bottom lane supremacy first, which should have been capitalized into a dragon. And then Haunter also gives up first blood because he was unable to vacate his turret, predicting the dive.
So the move, it goes in favor of Gravity. They may actually get this dragon after pushing themselves around the map and being able to take down, Impulse after they were able to take down Gravity.
No one's going for the dragons. They're just completely trading the turrets, which keeps the game close at least, but there could have definitely been a dragon taken on a couple of different occasions.
Well, it's on our mind. We'll see when it actually comes up to be on the player's mind. Right now, Keen still trying to push Xiao in. It's working, though. 49-24 in that lane so far. Keen's already 6, so they can't even really try to go after him. He'll either ult away or kill one of you in the process.
Yeah. Keen's reached that point as mid lane Hecarim. He's going to be rushing home guard boots really soon as well, which will make him pretty much impossible to push out of lane. And you can see the advantageous matchup right here, since Kassadin can't poke him out and cannot shield any of Keen's damage. Not to mention, there's been almost no jungle pressure early on in the game, since the junglers have always been in the lane pushing turrets. It's allowed Keen to stay pushed up without being punished, and that's why he has a 21 CS advantage.
Rush now. Getting his Raptor cleared off. Move has not been able to get in the jungle, but we do see him going for that damage build. He wants to be able to get in the face and do just as much as Rush here. Looks like things are going to slow down as the lanes match up now. AD carries are going to go down to the bottom lane. No turrets to really use, but they're still going to go ahead and fight it out 2v2. See if we get some jungler presence.
Jungle presence with double warrior enchants, perhaps.
Yeah.
As you were saying.
It's going to be a bloody game.
Sword. Yeah, and mainly it's been a very excessively mirrored game, actually. The teams have made nearly exactly the same movements with when to take turrets. Yeah, they're not countering any of the moves. They're just completely copying the moves. And the kill that was picked up by Impact is pretty much equalized by Keen's farm advantage. And now, after a double swap back, Gravity's finally going for the dragon. Meanwhile, that's exactly when Impulse is looking to go in as well.
When this happens too, it makes the play so one direction. You start losing one fight and the team is, no matter what, ahead of you. You didn't give yourself any other options. You haven't been pushing anything else. Like you said, people have been mirroring things. So the second you're down, it's so hard to come back.
Yeah.
That first dragon could be that.
And it's also going to kind of push the game towards very even farm team fights because they're trading so much.
Yeah.
So let's start talking about the team fights a little bit. We knew from Champion Select the the Kassadin Nocturne combo from Team Impulse are going to be very good at killing Altec's Jinx. So now Rush is level 6, sitting on 3 longswords. So definitely wanting to fight.
That's a killable Jinx.
There's very killable. From this point on, every time you see Jinx, we'll be able to say, that's a killable Jinx.
Yeah.
Because Nocturne plus Cassidy could jump on. Bunny Fufu will have to be very defensive with his positioning so he can Lantern Jinx to safety. Otherwise, if Bunny Fufu's in his normal position, going for aggressive hooks, it really opens up Altec to be punished.
Right.
Altec will have to be extremely liberal with his flash to flash right after a Nocturne jumps in. We're going to have a very interesting teamfight phase just because of the dynamic of Nocturne casting and trying to go on Altec's Jinx.
Absolutely. We already saw just there pointing out that Altec was a little too far forward without Bunny Fufu. No action was taken by Impulse, but that happens a few more times, and I'm sure they're going to go on it with the way that they play towards that mid to late game. Further forward rather, are where Gravity's wards need to start being placed here to make sure they don't get caught out by Rush. On the rest of the team and Bunny Fufu to move those up, but right now they're getting pushed back after that mid lane pressure. 2 turrets to 2 on either side here. Looks like everybody's going to pan out back to their lanes, is just kind of flexing their muscles in the mid lane. I don't think anything's coming to this just yet. 78 to 53 still in that mid lane. Everything else seems pretty even.
Yeah, Keen leaving the mid lane, he's actually becoming a side laner on Hekam, which is...
Yeah, now he's on the bottom.
He's basically a top laner now. Gravity is playing with 2 traditional top lane champions in this match, so a bit more of a bruiser tank type setup.
Yeah.
Although they will be building fairly damage heavy. It's a very snowballing team composition, and it will have to do heavily on whether Tip can AoE people down with Apollo, since all 3 of these guys are going interesting builds. Yeah, Warrior on to move.
I'm interested as well to see how Impulse makes this happen, because while they do have Xiao and Rush to dive in, Keen's going to be there instantly. Haunter can throw down the Rumble ultimate all on top of Altec to make sure he's safe as well. It's going to be hard. Those guys need to be in and out immediately. Keen getting big. Looks like he's going to stay up for a while here in these fights.
Yeah.
Home guard ready for him as well, so the teleport option is there if Gravity does want to start a fight on their own terms.
A lot of it will have to do with flanking as well. Move and Keen both want to flank around the side to create a fight, but they do have to be very careful, because if they overcommit to a flank, Rush and Xiao are going to go right up the gut, along with impact on Righteous Glory Maokai, which has been completed, by the way, straight on to the back line of Gravity. So 2 teams with relatively similar goals of wanting to start a team fight from a flank, meaning flanking can kind of end up flanking yourself if you do it wrong. There's that defensive positioning from Bunny's Thresh.
Always got eyes on Altec. Always.
Really good Lantern, honestly. He was sitting on a pink ward, so he knew that Impulse didn't think Thresh was there, which ended up kind of baiting out all of Impulse to reveal themselves, including Impact to burn his Righteous Glory for pretty much nothing.
Back to farming. Alltech has gotten a little bit of a lead here. You see where he sits in all just under 2,000 gold. He just hit 2K in his pocket, so he should be going back soon. Get the items that he needs, using the rest of that mana bar before he heads back. Minute and 30 seconds on the Dragon coming out here. A lot of this safe play, I think we can accredit to Rush on Nocturne here. The Global Ultimates, maybe striking fear into Gravity, trying to start anything. It's a possibility.
Well, Rush now has a 2-level advantage on Move. Move's 6.5 level-wise. Rush, full level 8. That's one of the bigger discrepancies with Dragon coming up in a minute or so. The fact that he has Warrior and a Vamp Scepter versus Warrior and a Sight Stone.
Yeah.
Unless Move actually creates a pick or flank opportunity with that Sight Stone, the potential fight at Dragon may end up going in Tip's favor. They just completed the Rod of Ages as well. Although there is double Magic Pen on Haunter as well.
Yeah, if you can bait out that Rumble Ultimate, I'd say you're gold.
Yeah, very, very close fight, honestly. Baiting out the Rumble Ultimate will be key, or just not being in a position where Rumble Ultimate can destroy you. There's not too much to keep people within a Rumble Ultimate.
Well, this is in favor of Impulse right here. If Impact stays in range, Haunter can't get out, and Impact has the TP for himself. Haunter can't stop that at all, but it looks like they're back right now. Let's see if this might be a pair of boots or something else here for Impact. Maybe he just wants to get more healthy for a teleport. So it looks like he's actually going to be walking to Dragon. Impulse has that on their mind here. 20 seconds up, and it might have to be the teleport in from Haunter. See if those few seconds gives Impulse the edge.
Well, regardless of anything in this game, Impact is playing a much more subdued style than we're used to seeing. Rush has not really looked at an opponent outside of that turret dive at 3 or 4 minutes. He hasn't invaded Move's jungle pretty much at all. He's just been playing the farm Nocturne, waiting for his opportunity to ult. I'd expect Impulse to, when they decide to hit the go button, really go, because that's the way this team comp is built. That's Keen getting pretty low.
Oh, go boy, button. Depth charge, anchor toss goes out. Keen goes down. Rush is making his way out, and they try to use the Rumble Ultimate just on Rush. He dives back in. They're going to start shredding down Gravity in this fight. They baited out the ult that they needed from both Keen and Haunter and take the fight in front of Dragon.
A pretty awful Rumble Ultimate there by Haunter trying to close out that fight. Keen as well being caught out of position. Chain CC'd, then ulted in. It allowed Impulse to play a very nice back and forth game. Rush started the fight on Nocturne without having to burn his ultimate so that he could then re-engage with the ultimate. We said Impulse was going to be trying to turn that go button on. They did. They get the fight, a gold lead, and a Dragon.
Great job coming in from Impulse. 4-1 now, 15 minutes in as they start things off, and didn't really have the many wards as they wanted on that situation. Gravity comes in, starts throwing their wards down.
Yeah,
Impulse is like, all right.
I'm not entirely sure what Keen was running through there for.
Rush with an equalizer?
Maybe trying to flank, but he's down before the fight begins. Rush can obviously come back in. Xiao hardly has to contribute by the end of it because the fight is over. Also, everyone was allowed to freely dive in without Haunter putting his Rumble Ultimate down defensively.
Right.
Impulse is a triple dive team, maybe even quadra dive when you consider Adrian and a short-range AD carry. And instead of reaching with your Rumble Ultimate, oftentimes Haunter should just be putting it down on his own carries, because that's going to be where he finds the most enemies, and that ultimate was just way off base.
We'll see if this plays true what I said, Jap, that if one team gets ahead here in this mirrored match all the way up to 16 minutes, that team that does step forward with the advantage is going to be very hard to catch. That gives 2 assists to Xiao. Xiao's Kassadin. He's now able to kind of just free farm this wave in the bottom lane to get even bigger. It's going to be tough for Alltech to stay alive here. Keen trying to put some pressure onto that. Keep him accountable for what? Can't be diving around the map. It's only 1,000 gold lead though. Still a game. Absolutely still a chance for Gravity to come back in this one. The Rumble Ultimate and an ultimate from Keen could completely wipe out Apollo and Xiao in a fight. And Tip would just be left hanging.
Keen is still yet to pick up his Trinity Force, so he's not even hit his max power point yet. 5 people down bottom lane. Only matched by 3, but they get 2 hits onto the turret and then back away. Gravity's losing their mid lane turret during all of this. Keen has to burn his teleport without his home guards up just to defend the turret.
2 hits kind of, I thought they were going for a dive, like break shield, go dive, but like you said, call to the mid lane. Good thing that was not an inhibitor this time. They still are able to save their turret. The calls are starting to go to the wayside a bit here for Gravity. Hopefully they can shake it off. Still a lot of time left in this one, but slowly falling behind in that gold. Keen's mid lane pick did quite a bit for the early game, but Rush actually didn't pay too much attention to Xiao. Went to the other sides of the map and made it work for the other lanes.
Yeah, and Rush is definitely going the offensive Hecarim build. Blade of the Ruin King on the way, on top of his Warrior Enchantment, so he's going to be looking to kill as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Well, I don't
Gold
think
damage Nocturne.
Altec won't be long for this world once he reaches him, especially if he's able to keep him in range with that Cutlass or Blade of the Rune King once it's finished. Keen finishing that Triforce up, hopefully can make a bigger impact on these fights. And Altec actually piecing together the items, gets the Abyss in there actually from some extra gold, but still does not have that Infinity yet finished yet.
Yeah, a bit of a strange item path as well. Because he had his BF sword on his pickaxe even before his Abyss Blade, so he really won't have too long to stack up that extra gold, only sitting at 94 extra gold from Avarice as of now. 600 gold behind Apollo's Sivir.
Yeah. That Sivir that they wanted every composition have been actually denied it quite a few times recently, and they're lost to Liquid and they're lost to Dignitas. Cloud9 and TDK the week before that, both wins with Sivir in the composition. Seems like that prerequisite that Impulse just needs to have.
Yeah, if they want to go and fight a team, it's really nice to be substantially faster than them.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you see the TF take Ghost Flash in the mid lane.
It's not just
like
a Team
Impulse. If I make an error, I'm still all right.
Yeah, it's not just a Team Impulse thing. Sivir has been a contested
for
first
sure.
pick across all League of Legends teams
Very
lately,
true.
especially when Callista is banned, which Team Impulse did in the pick and ban phase, like a very obvious first pick. And there's things that Gravity got on the backside, not necessarily that worth. Still wondering about the Gragas ban in the pick and ban phase, but
There's definitely a point of the picks being daunting as they come out of Champion Select until they might fizzle out in the game or something happens, right? It was awesome that Keen brings out Hecarim, but we haven't actually seen it be of good use just yet in these fights. Got caught out once, and then we haven't really seen another 5v5.
yeah, his laning phase was good.
Yeah.
But Gravity hasn't been creating many plays, neither has Team Impulse. It's been a very farm-heavy game overall.
Like
Both teams are waiting for a certain level of scaling up.
Yeah.
But honestly, it was on Move to create early pressure. And he did not do that this game on his Warrior Enchant Eve.
Nope.
Even now, he burned basically 50% of his mana pool just for control over the crab.
Oh, Keen for Xiao. Obviously can't do any extra damage after the bump. Talking about Move, we usually see him in the early game create enough pressure that it globally affects the map. The other lanes do better because of what he's doing. There was none of that for Gravity, so that option was kind of thrown out the window immediately. Not as many wards as he usually throws down. Still went for the Sight Stone, but it's not able to pay off for the team.
Oh my god!
Yeah, they're all there. I was going to say they're not going to be able to close the gap, but one after the other, they actually get 3 assists in the kill over to Apollo on that one. Not good to be losing the guys that can be the change of the fight.
Just in time for the Dragon, too. I love that call by Team Impulse. There was no map pressure on the other lanes by anyone from Gravity, so the whole team having to play on their back foot, but Keen just trying to push a little bit farther for the farm. Instantly punished. Did not even have to burn the Sivir off, and it leads to a uncontestable Dragon, most likely for Impulse. Oh boy.
Rush has Potion of Wrath as well, so he's looking to do even a little bit more damage. The TP Home Guard could be coming in for
Keen can teleport in any second. He just revived.
Pretty good equalizer coming in. Apollo flashes on the end of that one. Keen teleport coming in. It's from the bottom side. He's going to be able to hit the whole team of Impulse here. Coming through. He knocks down Apollo. Keen is huge in this one as the rest of the team starts to pick up the priority kills. And they move down now. Adrian's going to be going down after he dredge lines out of this one. But Keen going down actually baits Impulse into a fight that gives it back to Gravity.
Nice thing about having 2 teleports, you get to take some fights the teams don't expect you to have. That was the key moment to that one. Impulse knew they could get the Dragon, but then ended up kind of opting into a fight, not respecting the home guard teleport from Keen or the potential ward coverage from Gravity. And since they didn't instantly win the fight, the teleport in from the backside picks up 2 pretty quick and easy kills for Keen, evening out the game. I mean, looking at this, they get the Dragon, and immediately Bunny Fufu is ready for this fight. So what Impulse probably should have done is peeled down immediately, but they end up opting into the fight. Now the teleport is there. This is the nerfed Hecarim, so he's not doing as much damage when he comes in. Still enough to eat a Sivir alive.
Still trample you.
And then afterwards, obviously the scatter by Team Impulse. Game on.
You know, Alltech said in the beginning in that video that they have good communication, they just hesitate sometimes. Well, in a fight, there's no time to hesitate. You just communicate. And when they're kind of put into the situation, Gravity seems to come out on top there. Nicely done, able to pull it back, kind of a 4v5 there as Keen came up a little late in the situation. Bring themselves 3 more kills out of that, 6-4. Now on to Haunter. We were talking about that long-range pressure that Rush can provide, and maybe the Righteous Glory even more. Keen just came back up to help his team with kills, and now he goes down for the shutdown, going over to Xiao for a bit of extra gold.
I have no idea why Haunter was out that far in the lane at this stage in the game. Right after Gravity picks up a nice fight, they go and make a mistake, highly punishable because of the Righteous Glory Maokai on the Nocturne. That's exactly the situation that Rush wants to opt into. A Rumble who just used his Flame Spitter.
Little too comfortable with what you thought was an advantage.
Oh yeah, this is a huge swing right back for Team Impulse.
Unfortunately, they don't have the members, but they have the perfect flank right now for Move, who just has to sit and waiting and just watch the entire team take his turret and walk out now. They should be able to make it without getting hit on backs too much. But I do see Keen running out. Maybe they try to hit the backs here and then go for Baron? Possibility.
Yeah, that would be a rather risky call. Their Baron DPS is actually not that good.
No, it's
because Hecarim is not the fastest Baron killer, neither is Rumble.
I'm wondering.
Neither of these teams actually kill Baron super fast.
Oh boy. Okay, they're just checking.
They're prepping the area for sure.
They are putting their foot down. They want it to fight. That seems about all it's for, though. They tried to bait them in.
There's very late trinket upgrades in this game as well. 3 people on Impulse are sitting on tier 1 yellow trinkets, which at this point in the game is just really, really bad trinket to have. Either Xiao needs to switch over to a sweeper, and definitely Rush and Impact should be upgrading their yellows so they can get better ward coverage.
Especially since you're going against a double sight stone team.
Yeah.
You know you're down in vision.
And especially because they need the vision so Nocturne and Kassadin can find picks.
Right.
Really, it's 250 gold, guys. You all have it. Go buy your upgraded trinkets, please. This is why these LCS guys are never getting S pluses in games. They're not upgrading their trinkets.
Reported. Got it.
Come on, guys.
There it is. There, you just heard it.
Rush just went back to base.
Downstream.
I mean, technically, he wanted the gold for his full Giants belt. Doesn't even buy a ward in base. He left base with 75 gold. He could have come out with a ward, but instead, he's just saving up for those sweet combat stats.
You need to make some financial adjustments in the LCS rules.
You must buy a ward when you leave base.
All right, so it's now a 3,000 gold lead, just ticked up. Perfectly even there for Impulse. 4 turrets to 3. See what they can do with this gold lead. Gravity has made a few mistakes, and Impulse has been able to capitalize. But they're not without their own. We just saw Impulse mess up a fight at Dragon, and that could easily happen again with the equalizer from Haunter and a good ultimate again from Keen. See, he's going to Frozen Heart now. What are you looking at?
Well, I'm just thinking about our earlier story about how, Team Impulse hasn't been able to show the same type of aggression they showed late in the split and how they're not finding the fights. It's because they can't see anybody. Like, everyone, they aren't upgrading their trinkets. They're not buying wards. Their vision coverage is atrocious. How are you supposed to get picks if you're blindly trying to jump into these setup scenarios?
And you're playing against an Eve.
Any
One
fight
guy
they
has
take,
that sweeper.
like, this might work, but it's not because of vision control.
Of course they catch the Eve, taking down Move without even the necessary vision. He tries to get out and get himself a ward down and gets caught trying to get away.
Which is funny. Apollo used a scrying orb right behind him to be like, I hope we're not jumping into our demise. The scrying orb tells me that we aren't. Technically, it worked.
It's working out. That's the kind of Impulse we knew before, though. Impulsive. They just go. They do. And they keep going. You would see them die, teleport home guard back into fights, and hit the batting order once again. They wouldn't stop until the fight was completely over on their terms. See what this Baron provides for us, though. 15 seconds on the Dragon. Still getting some pings on that. Oh, that's the ultimate coming in from Apollo. Keen's forced to go in. Apollo gets hit very hard, but he's got a nice flash to the back line. Haunter finds his target, though. Keen getting hit, goes down, but Alltech has enough time to hit the DPS from the outside. Bunny Fufu just grazing the skirt of Xiao Xiao's Kassadin. But a 2 for 2 after everything.
Really close fight. Impact was able to tank the Jinx rocket, which ended up saving a life, it feels like. Even so, Altec really close to resetting the back of those fights. Keen definitely showing a lot of aggression. Now Dragon's the next big thing.
Oh boy, over the wall. Yep, the tug over the wall.
Here comes Maokai. Nice.
I have had that bring me to my demise many times, tugging a Sejuani or someone over a wall.
All right, so Hauntzer still has his teleport up. He can come into the fight with no equalizer. Keen cannot, but he has home guards to get down to the Dragon quickly. This Dragon, hotly contested topic in this game.
Kick it right
They could
phase.
probably rush it down, but they're a little scared to. They should know that the home guard teleport isn't a threat, so they can rush this.
Yeah, they're all right. Rush at ultimate actually not up, so they can't close this gap. It's going to be up in just a few seconds, but they do not decide to hit Altec, even though he was the caboose in that exit. So 2-2 now in Dragon's chat. We're definitely giving a pause to that aspect of the Dragon chance. So they're going to have to find another way. Maybe it's going to be the Baron taunt that brings us to the 5v5 we've been looking for here. Really, the fights we're getting is usually starting with somebody down, then a few people fall. The guy that comes back is the cleanup. And then our last fight was a 2v2.
Yeah.
Or a 2-4-2, I should say.
I'm sounding a bit like a broken record, but I'm really disappointed in Xiao Xiao and Rush's builds. They're both sitting on 6 items, so instead of saving a health crystal and using it as a ward slot or upgrading the trinket, they're literally just maximizing however much, just little tiny things like 100 health instead of vision coverage.
Yep.
And even Impact, he has a pink ward at least, but still no upgraded trinket. There's not upgraded sweepers for Gravity, but to me the sweepers are much more excusable, especially because Move's sitting on a Sightstone and has a pink ward in his inventory.
Right, they're filling pick wards still.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier when you're not filled with recipe items and consumables still.
Look at the ward coverage. There's like 3-4 wards total on the map for Team Impulse right now.
Well,
they're probably all from Adrian.
Move's wards destroyed stat is definitely going down this game.
Yeah, they're nerfing his ability to kill wards by not.
Oh, Adrian Rush already sees it. No reason to walk in on this one.
Ooh.
The pink ward goes in. It's something they wanted. Xiao Xiao is actually in a peculiar position over by Tribrush, so maybe something they knew. They figured they had over Gravity, but Hauntzer was able to route that and stop him from coming in. Just hitting 30 minutes. Looks like bottom lane could be something that Impulse wants to start pressuring here.
Yeah. The one nice thing for Impulse is if you don't spend money on wards, but you don't get punished for it until late game, you will hit your item breakpoints faster than the other team. It just very rarely works. Void Staff is coming up for Xiao Xiao shortly. Randuin's will be there for Rush pretty soon as well. They are powering up from a combat effectiveness standpoint, saving a couple hundred gold at a time by not buying as many wards.
Xiao Xiao finishing up the Void Staff, heads out of base, only 30 gold. Couldn't get a ward this time.
Of course not.
Trinket's about to come up, don't worry.
We ever have enough money for a ward?
Randuin's now finished for Rush. That combined with Impact's right.
Rush is leaving base with 113 gold and an item slot.
No
All
board.
right, I'm going to stop now. There's no point.
Chat. All right, let's take a moment. How do you really feel? No, I'm just kidding. 107, Xiao Xiao, can he continue?
I go back and forth on how much I like Rush. It's like, man, he's so great, he's so aggressive. Buy a ward!
So does Irene. One time he loves him, then he loves him even more, and then I don't even know if there's hate there for Irene. All right, this is exactly where we had the fight before. Both teams getting a bit of the vision that they need. Bottom wave should actually not do too much in favor of Impulse here. The turret should be able to start pushing that one. And they pan out back to the mid lane once again. Face of the mountain for safety coming for Altec. Lock of the Iron Solari finished over on the side of Adrian. Just tidbits for each side here, as an Aegis being finished up on move, so we can get that Lock of the Iron Solari as well. Everybody's getting to that point where mechanics are going to matter over where you are.
Yeah, farm heavy.
Yep.
Although we did talk about Altec, how much his mechanics are going to matter.
Builds.
If it gets jumped on by this Luden's Echo Void Staff Captain and a full damage Nocturne. Well, 2 damage item Nocturne, not full damage. He's got Randuin now. It's going to be heavily dependent on Bunny Fufu's positioning to avoid fights. Whether or not Hauntzer gets a well-placed equalizer. How well Impact tanks. And he's very fed right now.
Oh, starting that up. They get the teleport out of Hauntzer. Nicely done.
Now to send Keen to split push because they have 2 of them.
Play some games here, get the chess pieces switched up. Little Luden's proc there took a good amount of damage off of Mood as well. Force Pulse goes in, Move now down to half HP. A great start to the fight coming in for Impulse. Rush goes in. Remember, they have the Righteous Glory and the Randuins to lock down Gravity where they want them. Onto the back line. Altec doesn't take too much. He flashes to safety. Xiao very low. Keen's trying to chase him now. Impact! Zap! By Altec. Altec's now open, free to do the damage. Double kill for him. Those are the only 2 members down as the rest of Impulse is forced to limp away. Gravity finds the fight. They want a 5v5 straight up in the mid lane.
Woo, really close fight right there. Rush used his clothes trying to kill the lowest level member on Gravity in Move instead of going for Altec. Therefore, Altec is free hitting for the majority of the fight, still burns both summoners to stay alive, but is successful. Gravity pushing up. Not able to close, though, because the fight was so long and the death timers are already coming back up.
No way. No way. A very big error coming in from Xiao. Stepped right into the hook of Bunny Fufu. A little bit of not respecting the situation, but that could have been the pause necessary. Oh, the chompers on the zap! Altec inside the mind of Impact there. Well played.
Gravity clawing their way through this game, still sitting on a gold deficit, but if they play these team fights a little bit better than Impulse does, there's still a chance they pull this one out. Eve is not scaling pretty much whatsoever, so it has so much to do with the equalizer placement, Keen's ability to shut down a carry, and most importantly, Altec. Let's actually pay attention to Altec in this fight. Specifically, how much did he have to dodge and how much was he jumped on for? So Nocturnal comes through, onto Move, he flashes it away. Then they Nautilus ult Altec, but no one is jumping on him. Xiao's killing the Rumble. Rush then decides to go on Altec, and he just always spaces himself away from Impact. So Altec, even though he burned both summoners, used them to stay completely untouched and to free hit pretty much the entire time. So I did like Altec's positioning in that fight, although with no summoners, the next fight's going to be much more difficult, especially if Impulse can just focus on the priority target.
It's going to be very, very hard. The equivalent of a next fight is going to have to be pretty much like Altec on Bunny Fufu's shoulders, like you fight somebody in a pool or something. Because last time they were just next to each other. Bunny Fufu was able to give that peel, but like you said, without summoners, this is going to be tough, especially if Rush goes on Altec instead of Move. They went right after Move quite a bit on that, and he's been building tankier.
Absolutely. And something changed in this game. You know, Team Impulse lost a fight, and they say, all right, it's time to buy pink wards. Finally,
do it.
Rush and Xiao. Purchase wards. It's not
still.
No need to upgrade those yellow trinkets. It's not the most efficient gold you will ever spend in a League of Legends game. No, it's not. It's definitely, you know, definitely not worth, apparently. And instead, they did get the pink wards, so they clear some things off. They're both sitting on enough gold to upgrade their trinkets, by the way. 100 each.
They're going to do it right before the game is over.
At a certain point,
just for you.
At a certain point, it probably is inefficient to upgrade the trinket if the game's going to end in 2 minutes.
Yeah, but the point the ward's about to die.
Yeah.
The amount of time the fight takes, and then the death timers. Already passed those wards in a different area to fight. 2,000, 3,000 gold is all this game has had as a deficit.
Ooh.
Usually with Impulse in the lead, Keen again, very scary situations just to decide to walk through, but gets out of that one unscathed. These moves, you wonder sometimes, knowing late game that one could pretty much mean your inhibitor, what these guys are kind of thinking right now.
36 minutes in, especially against a Jinx on one side. Turrets go down very quickly if a team is winning a landslide team fight. Rush, very impressive scoreline, 4-1-8. That's 100% kill participation. He's been able to go in and pick up the right kills with Nocturne. He's very scary in his own right, but if they don't fight within the next 56 seconds, Altec's flash will be up again. He'll be able to juke his way through team fights at least a little bit.
And he's going to have that up before Apollo has his. Altec also picked up that Quicksilver Sash and a Cutlass to give himself even more personal peel in these fights. Keen with the Potion of Wrath as they have extra money.
They really want to fight this.
To boot. They're going to go on Bunny Fufu, the guy that peels for Altec. He flashes out the box for disengage as well. Keen's in there. He gets bumped
Altec
out.
too close.
Throws the onslaught of shadows back to Apollo. Altec on the backside has face of the mountain trying to throw out Rocket.
Whoa!
The AoE is doing huge damage, but that's a big pickup by Xiaowei. Xiao before he goes down. Altec picks up the triple kill, I believe, in the end of that fight. Maybe just a double.
Yeah.
And another one to boot for the team, but a 3 for 3. I don't know how many times we have had a fight in that exact same area.
Yeah, looking at the death chart after this one is all going to be concentrated in the mid lane. Altec had that giant rocket crit that killed 2 people.
Yeah.
To turn that fight around. And honestly, Team Impulse, that initiation was not clean. They jumped onto the support, not immediately onto Altec. So watch this one more time. Rush goes in on Bunny Fufu, not on the Altec, peels back. Then they do get a knock up onto Altec, which made it looking dangerous. He heals to get the move speed coming out of there. And the Rumble Ult got people low enough that the ultimate from Jinx plus a crit rocket could kill him there. Altec very close to cleaning up the Maokai as well. And he didn't even have to burn his flash that fight. So very scary things coming through. Apollo also hitting some big item breakpoints, which creates complications for Gravity trying to dive onto him as well. A very, very close game we have unfolding right here, Luke.
And imagine what kind of a fight that would have been. You just said about 40 to 50 seconds on Altec's flash if Rush had gone on Altec there. Maybe a simple lantern out. You know, easier said than done, but they would have had the guy without a flash.
Yeah, Altec knows how important his flash is in this game as well. Distortion boots.
Got those.
Just for the next time he uses his flash, knowing these fights are going to be more rapid than necessary, and that extra gold not being saved up for a BF sword or even an elixir. Sometimes you'd see an elixir of wrath instead of that boot upgrade, but he really just wants to be in the right spot.
Whew, a day of games already, or a day of game so
Day of
far.
game.
Coming up on 40 minutes. There are 5 dragons so far taken in this game, but Gravity has 3 of those. Impulse, obviously, with the other 2, and Gravity has littered the other side of the map with wards here.
Yeah,
if Impulse were to exit this fight, they'd still be in vision, so we'll see if Gravity can even get here to contest.
And Gravity knows something's up right here. Keen's got to make sure not to get jumped on right away.
Oh, hanging a care out in front of the horse. Keen gets caught right there. They used everything on him. Does the team come back in and have something to say about it? Gravity's forced to back off. The smite is still there for move for a play. But does Impulse even chance it?
Sivir ult and Nocturne ult burned, but it is for one of your main carries and tanks in Keen. Gravity wants to go in on this, but this is so dangerous. It's got to be a perfect equalizer.
Can't miss it if they decide to chase.
Again, ult's on a move, nothing onto Altec.
The back line gets hit. Xiao very low. Altec, a lot of room to work with this now. They try to get on him. Twisted advance hit. There's the cleanse. He's back out. Haunts are very low, but there's just too many members now. Wait, he dodges it, but Haunts, the boomerang doesn't have to hit. He throws out a crit auto. They take each other down in a draw. And it's going to be Impulse coming up with the win here. Smite still up for move. He's trying to make his way in. One shot to Xiaowei Pao. Xiaowei uses the smite onto him. And they actually pull off to go take down Move instead of try and finish the Baron with a possibility that Move can come back for damage.
What? We're going to see so many more fights in this game. This is turning into a very exciting game.
Except
we knew both teams were very flank-oriented, so both have good initiation. It is becoming this protect and kill the carry game right now. Nautilus onto Move right after he burns his shield from his ult, so he actually takes a substantial amount of damage right there. And then it's all about Impulse decides they need to go kill Altec. They get a lot of damage on him here. Apollo then just, that last auto crits. It's expected to crit. He's got an Affinity and a Phantom Dancer, so the percentage is high. This is
fantastic.
It's turned into a bloodbath.
Oh, we knew it would be from the beginning. We had Bloodbath written all over this game with the fact that we saw both junglers going Devourer and everybody else trying to build their damage items before even putting wards.
Rush 100% kill participation still on this Nocturne.
4-1-15. Crazy. And the Impact has only been out of that for 2 of those.
Yeah. So tons of team fights, basically. Like everyone on this Impulse team is killing or assisting in pretty much every fight.
Oh boy.
Definitely just grouping and fighting.
It's not getting burned, actually. They're not putting too much focus on it. It's just more of a taunt in with that being down.
Move. A lot of damage.
Again, down to half HP. That's one of the ways that Tip was able to start a fight in the mid lane. But that still went 2 for 2. Gonna have to bail. Dragons now even up at 3. As we make our way up, 42 minutes in, 19 to 14. So just 33 kills in this game. Keep going. These guys, I think we're gonna get a lot more. Top lane needs a lot of loving right now. Janitorial duty going to somebody. Actually, no chance on that one.
Hecarim flank teleporting in. He's got home guard.
The hook, Bunny Fufu.
He's going in.
A little more vision. Onslaught of Shadows is in. His move there to get the Baron. It's down to a 60. It gets taken by Rush. They have it, but they also lose him. 3 down now for Impulse. Gravity has the cleanup crew here right now. That's going to be 4 kills for them and a huge swing it should be to the game if they can get these minion waves moved.
That Baron call, they thought they could rush it down against double teleport, a rumble, and invisible Eve without ward coverage. That's just not a quality decision. It's a very high risk. Yes, they get the Baron, but they get crushed within the Baron pit. Of course, Gravity collapses down. They get the teleport, they get the Jinx cleanup, and now maybe they get the game. That's 4 deaths for another 30 seconds, and it's against the Jinx.
Going in hard. Minion wave slightly behind them. Looks like they're going to take maybe the first few shots. No, they are waiting for the wave. 10 seconds and 20 seconds are the closest ones. 10 seconds is only going to be for Adrian. That's the first turret. The second one didn't even last 5 now. Adrian's not even up. That's going to be the Nexus. 43 minutes in. Gravity finds a 5v5 where they take down 4 members of Impulse, and Gravity takes the win.
What a ridiculous series of events this game turned into. 20 kills to 19. Gravity is down in gold when they eventually win. Altec put on his carry pants as best he could, but Haunter had great Rumble ultimates. The double top lane strat there with Hecarim and Rumble. 2 top lane champions. Obviously, King plays what he wants in the mid lane. Ends up paying off. But boy, just a sloppy game by Team Impulse all around.
Yeah.
Poor vision control, incredibly risky calls, and again, as has happened so many times this split for Team Impulse, they are punished for their naked aggression. Baron call with no vision coverage down the stretch, just daring a team to come fight them, but honestly, unless they're willing to coordinate and focus down Altec's Jinx, they're just not going to win the game.
The teleports in that sense make you wonder a lot. Knowing that they can have their members there immediately, knowing they have a cross-map ultimate with Jinx as well to provide that damage if she wasn't in range. So many things played against them on that Baron call. As well for Gravity, though, a game they can go back and look at where were we stalling and not making decisions. Because there were a lot of points for both teams here when there were so many options and paths they could take, but they both just mirrored each other for so long.
Yeah, early on in the game, there's definite things that Gravity actually didn't maximize on. They were the team that was bottom lane with the lane swap, so they could have started off with the Dragon, maybe started the Dragon snowball a little bit. It ended up being 3 Dragons to 3 by the end of that one.
Yeah.
And then Gravity did end up playing from behind a little bit because of those early discrepancies, but Impulse could never push their advantage because they were never setting up the plays. They were just hoping the plays would fall into their lap, which Gravity, as one of the top teams in North America, just luckily doesn't let themselves lose to a team that can't see them because of no wards really being on the map. So Gravity barely pull out a victory right here. This is one of those games that definitely could have gone either way, but superior team fighting from Altec and the rest of Gravity ends up being the thing that pushed them over the edge.
Very nicely done. They now move up to 6-3 in the standings. That doesn't hurt at all. We're going to now send it over to the guys at the analyst desk to take us deeper into Gravity's win.
Thanks, Riv. Solid win there after a little bit of back and forth there. I want to jump to the early game, though, immediately. Look at the lane swaps that came out from both teams.
Yeah.
Relatively even until we saw the swap back and the dive in on Haunter for Tip there netting a kill.
Right. The opening to this game was a lot different than, the mid game and end game. Team Impulse actually opened this game very controlled, and their lane swap matching was really good until they took the initiative. And this is something that I was looking at Gravity last week. They just kind of sat back and waited for counterplays to present themselves. But I really value initiative, and that's something that Team Impulse are pretty much all based around. And so it's Impact from the top lane who takes the initiative. He teleports down as they have, Haunter quarantined around the turret to get that kill and get them that lead, which is, one of the big things I was looking at in the start of this game was, why are you giving Sivir to Team Impulse? This is their champion. Sivir is the linchpin that brings all Team Impulse strategy together, right? Because Kassadin and Nocturne are one thing diving the back line, but the Sivir speed to boost up the rest of your team to follow and make picks like we saw them get at the Baron, that's really what brings it all together.
Yeah, I know, of course, then we look into the mid lane. We saw Keen gathering a huge CS lead, though all of this was happening in the side lane. So we've got that Hecarim pick. They flexed it into the mid lane. And then the Kassadin pickup by Xiao not panning out there in the mid lane, at least in the 1v1.
Yeah, I really like Hecarim into melee mid matchups. He does really well against Zed, Yasuo, and Kassadin. Those are really his bread and butter, what he likes to go into, and those are winning matchups for him. So Keen did a good job there, getting caught out throughout some parts of the game. A little bit of a misplay there, but also you're talking about initiative. It has to be calculated in initiative, too. Like TIP, they were very calm in this game at the start, and then they just went back to TIP. They went back to very impulsive plays. Like, let's go Baron 4 times in a row, and they didn't actually take account of what was going on around them, the power spikes that Gravity had. Altec was out of control this game from the mid game, and they didn't really do anything to stop that bleeding.
Yeah, I think the initial idea was pretty good there. You could see it worked out one time where you draw them close and then you have the Sivir, you have the Nocturne, you can immediately jump on the Hecarim when he gets close. But you're right, they just returned to it so many times when they weren't perfectly set up for that charge.
Now, I do want to take a look at a replay 22 minutes in, so we're going to pull that up on your screen. We're down in the Dragon River. This was a win here for Gravity, kind of their first big team fight wins. Irene, we're going to have you walk us through this.
And this is another example of TIP not playing around the pre-team fight, because there's no ultimate from Adrian, there's no ultimate from Rush at this point because they had just had a fight previously. So Gravity are going to take complete advantage of this, knowing that those are down. Keen is dead because of those ultimates, and now Keen gets to TP into the backline. Hauntzer's ultimate just wrecks Apollo there. He has to flash out to try and re-engage and get out of the slow, and then he just gets clocked immediately by Keen. QE as the spell shield comes up, quarter-second timing there between those spells. Amazing play there from Keen, even though he was the one who was picked off previously. So the fact that his body, like 20 seconds, 30 seconds prior to this, absorbed multiple ultimates actually is a big part of why they were able to win that fight and why they chose that fight in the first place.
Now, how valuable is the double TP here in this situation? Because it's something that I kind of realized.
Pretty valuable.
Pretty valuable, right? I mean, in exploring, how many other mid laners, it's been popular in past seasons to take the double TP. Fnatic was a big fan of it, right? We see it pop out here. Is there more than just Hecarim that are willing to take it? Kassadin, we saw Xpeke do in the past. Is that something that could find its way back into the meta?
Hecarim is probably the best. I feel like having that other summoner spell is very valuable right now for dominating mid lane matchups. Like it's dominated by Azirs and mages who want to have a defensive summoner. So I feel like TP is really a Hecarim.
I don't think we're ever going to get back to the days of like MYM doing double teleport every single game they play. I like teleport mid lane Lux. I don't think that's coming back, but yeah, Keen can definitely make it work, especially with that Hecarim. Also, after that team fight, I just want to say Altec's team fighting with Jinx this game. Almost every single team fight, really, really good. He optimizes his uptime as an AD carry, constantly getting enough damage and using his flash and heal only when necessary. So
yeah, absolutely every fight, holding on to those until he needed them. Well, keep it tuned right here. After the break, CLG will attempt to pick up their 5th straight win as they take on Team Liquid. Stay with us.
Our first match today is going to be Team Impulse versus Team Gravity. They try to use the Rumble ultimate just on Rush. He dives back in. They're going to start shredding down Gravity in this fight. Xiao very low. Keen's trying to chase him now. Impact zap by Altec. Altec's now open, free to do the damage.
Sivir. Hey, clean up.
Nice. An onslaught of shadows is in. His move there to get the Baron. It's down to a 60. It gets taken by Rush. They have it, but they also lose him. 3 down now for Impulse. And Gravity takes the win.